Welcome to the Man Up channel. I am your host, Bob Buckland, and with me again today is John Font.
Hello. Welcome.
And today we are going to be talking about everything superheroes.
Superheroes. We were looking at a Fox News media published on June 30th about how we need to re-examine superheroes along with the police and also how we represent them in the media.
It's the news article was saying how superheroes today were enforcing their privilege and their sense of justice in the world that they see fit. And going along with that, we have been noticing a trend lately that they are starting to make traditionally white superheroes into non-white characters. Not saying that there is a huge problem with that, but now we got Batwoman is being played by a woman of color. We had Michael B. Jordan played Johnny Storm, and also rumored to be playing Superman in an upcoming thing. So let's take a minute and let's talk about all the great superheroes of color
That were originally written as superheroes of color.
See, I think the thing is you got all these non-nerds. I guess that'd be the best way to phrase that. All these non-nerds that don't know all these great superheroes. And the ones they do know are traditionally played by white people. And now there's a cry, this is unfair. You guys got Superman. You guys got Batman. We need representation. And it's like, no, you guys already have a lot of great superheroes out there. You just need to take the time to go find them. Well, we're not going to be debating which one's better, Marvel or DC, but to kick this off, DC has been doing a great job with their TV superhero shows, and I really enjoyed watching the Arrowverse develop, not because they have top-tier superheroes on it, but the fact that they're taking superheroes that you might not know a whole lot about and making new series based on them. It started off with the Green Arrow, and then the Flash was brought in, and then Legends of Tomorrow, and then Supergirl, and now Batwoman, and they also have Black Lightning, and they're bringing in Stargirl now, all, I would say, probably B-listed superheroes, and now they're getting their men in the spotlight, and it's been great. And I would really support more heroes of color coming into this.
Well, like you said, I think the comic books for a long time have been supporting multiculturalism, if you would, or whatever you would put with that. Like we were talking about earlier with Miles and Spider-Man, like they were still able to keep the integrity of Peter Parker being a white man, and that has always been portrayed as that, even in the comics, and still bring that history with them to a new character and still keep the old intact, I guess.
I love the fact that we're starting with Miles Morales. If you know your comic book history, you realize that he's not that old of a character. Not age-wise, but he's only been around for, I doubt, even a decade at this point. But the fact that they did not throw him into main continuity, but they took him off in one of these side universes and built his story. And they developed the character, and now, so many years later, he's scheduled for the PlayStation 5 to have his own release title for a video game. And that right there has just showed how you do a character and the development the correct way.
Right, and they didn't ruin anything or change any of the storylines or, I guess, step on anybody's toes or any of that stuff. They just made a new character who wasn't really brand new, but at the same time was able to fill those shoes and fill them really well.
Well, I remember when he first was coming out, and there was a lot of mad people out there because Peter Parker is a fan favorite. He's been around for a very long time. A lot of us grew up in the 90s era where Spider-Man was the superhero cartoon that we grew up with. So when they were first saying they were going to replace Peter Parker with Miles Morales, we were all, no, She's a witch. Can we burn her?
And they didn't really replace. I think that was the greatest thing about it, was they didn't really replace Peter Parker as Spider-Man. They developed a new and good story for him.
They did, and I absolutely love the Spiderverse movie that came out 2 years ago. The fact that even in his own universe, in his movie, he was not the main Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker was still the main go-to Spider-Man. And the fact that here in the other universe, Miles Morales was the side character in his own world and then became the main Spider-Man, and it was just mind-blowing with the way that they've developed that story with all the other Spider-Mans in there, Spider-Mans that people probably didn't even know existed, and you're just like, wow, this is great, this is amazing. I lost track of how many times the kids maybe watched this movie.
And the thing is they did a good job for people that were nerds like us, who know about all the other universes and all the other Spider-Man and so on and so forth. They did a great job introducing the old Spider-Mans, or the different Spider-Mans. I don't know how you put that. But anyway, they introduced them all well with their personalities and their strengths and their weaknesses. But they also brought in Miles and really had a creation story for him and his understanding of his new powers and making that work. And it was a very well done, well put together movie.
Well, Marvel's has done a good job with even their superhero movies, like Wesley Snipes in his Blade trilogy. I remember watching those. I remember watching those in theater, and they were a great movie. I mean, we can all bank that the graphics don't hold up anymore, but, still the fight scenes are still really good.
Right. And I think that's something we've lost a lot of, is the good writing. You went back and you saw some good writing and you were like, this is just a great movie. I just enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely.
Another thing that you had been brought up was the Patriot, which is a.k.a. Elijah Bradley in the MCU.
This is a character that I would absolutely love and pay money to see enter into the MCU, especially with the passing of Captain America. I know that role is supposed to be going to Anthony Mackie with his Falcon character. But at the same time, if you would know the history of this character, which I didn't even know about until after I read the original Civil War comic line, which if you guys have not read that, it is a must read. Absolutely love it. But when they were trying to recreate the super soldier formula, they were actually experimenting on men of color back in that time. Which, before you all start screaming racist, know your history. Okay.
Elijah is the grandson of the first African-American super soldier, Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah was among the 300 black men in Mississippi who were experimented on in similar way to the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, and he was the only one to survive. Elijah wanted to carry on his grandfather's superhero career, and the long story short, became a super soldier himself.
Now, the great part about this character is that Elijah, at this point, did not have superpowers. He went on to say that he did, and he was lying about the whole time while taking essentially a mutant steroid. I don't remember what the exact drug was called, but if a mutant would take it, they would enhance their superpowers. But if a regular, normal person would take it, they would essentially give you, for a short amount of time, powers similar to Captain America. So this kid was taking drugs to be a superhero. And eventually, in his times of travel, he gets hurt. His grandpappy finds out, gives him a blood transfusion, and then he inherits his super soldier powers. And that right there, like I said, I would absolutely love to see this kind of character come into the MCU. I would love to see young Avengers, especially with a guy that would portray him, throw in Tom Holland. is I think there is a serious potential for a younger group of Avengers to come in and save the day. Is I would love to see this.
And the story's already written. I mean, truthfully.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to throw in some screenplay stuff, but for the most part, it's already been written.
I know we talked a little bit here on the Marvel side, but even DC has a lot of great heroes of colors. Speaking of younger ones like Static Shock. I think Static Shock was, I want to say right around the early 2000s. Maybe late 90s, but I'm pretty sure early 2000s. And he was the teenager, accidentally got his powers, really similar to the Spider-Man story. You could probably compare him to like a DC Spider-Man just because he was young, had the mouth, all fighting crime. You know, even thinking about it, is he came back in Young Justice. Young Justice Season 2 and Season 3 as he was in it, and it's still a really good character.
A whole bunch of them.
Oh, there are. It's one of the ones that we could honestly see a movie for. John Stewart. John Stewart is the Black Green Lantern. Can you say that?
Yeah.
He's the Black Green Lantern. Already has been well established in the Justice League cartoon series. And you know how well the first Green Lantern movie happened.
I don't think he can do worse.
We love Ryan Reynolds. We all love Ryan Reynolds, but not his best work. Not his best work.
It's true. He was selected by the Guardians as a backup Green Lantern to the then current Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, after the previous backup, Guy Gardner, was seriously injured after getting hit by a car.
There's a funny story about that. It's
getting hit by a car?
Well, originally, when the Ring was looking for its new host, and it picked Hal Jordan, it was just because Hal Jordan was just a little bit closer than what Guy Gardner was.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ring could have went either way. But you know what? I've read Guy Gardner. I don't like Guy Gardner. And that's okay.
So you were okay that he went down.
Mm-hmm. I like John Stewart, though. And I know they're talking about making a new Green Lantern movie. I think the working title is Green Lantern Corps. I would really love to see John Stewart as the title character in it.
Originally appeared in 1971.
Another DC favorite I would like to see is Steel. Steel is a guy that when Superman died or disappeared, wanted to carry on his legacy, so he made his own, essentially Iron Man outfit that could replicate all of Superman's powers. Can't tell me that wouldn't make a good movie.
That would be interesting. I know that when Superman died, like 4 superheroes that took over.
Mm-hmm. DC just made an animated movie about that.
His real name is John Henry Irons. He wields a sledgehammer.
Yeah, but that suit still looks pretty cool, don't it?
His reference is the mythical railroad worker John Henry, and his niece was named Natasha Irons, who also is a superhero in a similar mechanized suit of armor.
Ooh.
I didn't know that. So you have a second one.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Natasha Iron. He is a genius engineer who built a mechanized suit of armor that replicates Superman's powers and bears Superman's logo. Initially, he sought to replace Superman after Superman was killed by Doomsday. After Superman was resurrected, Superman accepted Steel as his comrade.
Once again, there is a vast number of heroes and villains of color, and they were all great in their own right. Go ahead.
Did you know that there was a movie adaptation of Steel?
Like a life movie?
Yeah.
I did not.
Guess who played Steel?
I want to say Shaq.
You are right.
Yes.
Your knowledge is amazing. That is hilarious. Released 1997. Shaquille O'Neal as Steel.
You'd be surprised with the vast knowledge I have of fictional history, good sir.
Was panned by critics who complained the film's cheesiness and bad acting.
You know what? I kind of want to watch that movie now.
Doesn't mean we didn't watch it. Wow. That is really good. Steel.
Did you know Shaq has his own video game?
Yeah, isn't it Shaq Fu?
Shaq Fu.
Yeah.
First appeared in Super Nintendo. I had that game.
Really?
He threw fiery basketballs as like his
Yeah, it was
power
like Mortal
move.
Kombat, wasn't it?
Kind of.
Except
like a really, really bad version of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. I don't remember.
It was supposed to be getting a re-release, I think, on the PlayStation.
Why would you re-release a bad? Never mind.
I don't know, but I know it had its fans, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure it's just because Shaq was in its title.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it amazes me for the amount of basketball prowess Shaquille O'Neal had. The only stat that I really ever heard from Shaquille O'Neal was how many foul shots he missed. Was a pretty big number, but I don't.
I thought that's where you were going with that.
All right, maybe I'm just a terrible person. I don't know. Anyway, to sum this up, where do we want to go from here, Bob?
To sum it up, I would have to say, if you want your own superhero or your villain or representation, take the time and actually look. Because in this day and age, there's representation for everybody. There is no need to try to take an existing character and change it just because you don't know who's out there. You know, that's like me going, oh no, there's not enough white basketball players out there. When in fact, I'm sure I could Google for like 5 seconds and find a whole slew of them out there that are doing really well for themselves.
So, yeah, keep the stories the way they are. Or even if you're looking at fictional characters, why would you take things that are already one thing and change them into something else?
Like I said, I'm not mad about it. We've talked about Miles Morales, and there's a way of doing it right, and there's a way of making the new characters fall in love. But, you know, for you saying, like, Clark Kent needs to be a person of color now. No. Get your own Kryptonian.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Get your own Kryptonian. And who are... Yeah. No, I think it's an ongoing thing. You know, it's one of those things that are going to be... People are going to have a hard time not... Like, when they sell the rights to somebody, I don't think they really have a choice in that matter, what they do with it. And if somebody decides that that's what they want to do, then that's what they're going to do.
Yep, there was a lot of great heroes, a lot of great villains, and you know what? We can talk about it all day, but we would love to hear what you got to say, so please leave a comment. We would love to know who's your favorite hero or villain of color. If you have them, please share. Let's get a talk going. Once again, this is the Man Up channel, and we will catch you later.
Peace out.